Okay, hello guys, we're live again. This is New Talk Now, and today we're lucky enough to have Nick Caputo here. Nick is an awesome dude. First person I've interviewed that's younger than me, so that's pretty cool. He's really done a lot of stuff in the last few years with breath work, fasting, urine therapy, different forms of exercise, traveling, and diet changes, and he's like a superhuman over there now. And it's cool to have him here today. And so, yeah, you want to introduce yourself a little bit more, Nick, and then I'll keep asking questions, and we'll go from there. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. What up, everybody? My name's Nick Caputo. I'm a holistic healer. I'm currently located in New Jersey, but I'm about to be relocated to the Dominican Republic. I use diaphragmatic breath work and fasting, urine therapy, green juices, astrology, yoga, calisthenics, a bunch of methods to help people heal from disease, lose weight, and just like make lifestyle transitions, and athletes.
Yeah, it's really cool, man. So can you tell us like how you started out, like where you were with your health, like what made this start, like where were you at when this shift started taking place within yourself?
So to be honest, personally, I always like kind of felt this like happening, and it was almost like when I discovered it, it was almost like I was remembering it. As a kid, I never really ate too much. Like I always used to fight with my dad about not finishing my food. Me and my mom would lie to my dad and say I ate. Like I just always didn't want to eat growing up, and I always felt like I had lots of energy and never felt like I was deprived of anything without eating. And the more I ate, the more I felt like shit. Like intuitively, as a kid, I just kind of realized this, and then throughout the years, obviously I got sucked into it, and eventually, after a million times of being forced to eat, you get addicted to it like everybody else. Um, so basically, where I was at, I was early in college, and I was trying to be a travel videographer, or I wanted to make videos for different stuff. So I was traveling a lot of places. I went to Colorado, I went to Utah, I went to Jamaica, Nicaragua, a couple different places, Dominican Republic for the first time. And yeah, so that was what I wanted to do. So I traveled and I learned a lot through traveling and learned about a lot of different stuff. But really, what really changed it for me was that I was snowboarding in Colorado when I was, I think, 19 years old or 20 years old. And I broke my neck. I broke my C6. So I did a backflip off a cliff and I landed on my front foot in the deep snow, and my board got sunk into the snow and my head just whipped into the ground, tomahawked like 5 times, fractured my C6 vertebrae. So this was a time where, for the first time in years, that I was detached from like the social game, where I wasn't going out to the bar, I wasn't like going out to do like whatever, and I finally had time to like think and reflect and do some research. And I was always like obsessed with learning. I always wanted to learn new things. I was really good in school, like kind of without trying. And this was the first time where I had time to like learn again, because I was always like people pleasing, like going out to here, going out to there, like, never saying no to plans. And thinking back, I don't really know why I did that. But anyway, I had this time to reflect. And personally, like, I had chronic gastritis my entire life, like since I was like 4 years old. So I would eat anything and get like serious heartburn, like especially sleeping, like laying on my back, I would get crazy heartburn. So throughout most of my life, I would always sleep on my side, so I wouldn't get the heartburn. And with the neck brace on now, I had to sleep on my back. So basically, the heartburn was inevitable and it was brutal. So I kept going back to the doctors and asking them, like, what's good with it? Like, how do I fix this? Like, I'm 19 fucking years old. How do I not take a pill and get rid of this? Like, there's got to be an answer. And they just like always looked at me like I had 100 heads asking them what to do without pills. And I was like, all right, well, these motherfuckers don't know what they're doing and they're not going to save me. So I got to save myself. So originally I was doing a lot of research into like ancient history, like the Egyptians and, the Kemet and fucking the Sumerians and whatever. And then I switched my focus. Like, it was originally like we've been lied to about history. What else have we been lied to about? And the pharmaceutical industry became that thing for me next. So I did a lot of research into it. I figured out that it obviously was diet that was causing my issues. And I was eating mostly bread and like cheese at that point, like mac and cheese, pizza, like all different combinations of starch and cheese that you could possibly imagine. That's what I was eating. And basically, I decided from my research to go fruitarian right off rip. So I just did, and I was a picky ass eater. So I only went into fruits right off the bat. And I was only eating like cantaloupe and blueberries and strawberries at first because those were like the only fruits that I wasn't scared of. And I did that for 4 days and my heartburn went away, never came back. And I was just like, okay, this is what's good. I'm going to keep eating like this because I feel fucking phenomenal. And then throughout, I did 6 months on just fruit. And I slowly started to incorporate more fruits. That was around the time I went to Jamaica. So I learned a lot about fruit when I went down there. I had a sour sop, sweet sop, nesberries all for the first time. And it was awesome that I was like finally liking food and realizing like, yo, not every food makes me feel like shit. And then through that process, like I'm from Jersey and this is a very hostile environment here. So like if you're going to do anything that's out of the ordinary, you need to be able to defend yourself at all costs. So I had to answer a million ignorant ass questions like over the years or over the months, I guess, throughout that process where, you know, I was constantly like on the defense, like telling people why I was doing what I was doing. Like everybody always seemed like nobody cared about what I was eating when I was eating like shit and I was barely even eating. Now, like that I'm eating fruit only, everyone's like, oh, what the fuck? You're going to get your protein. Like people were bombarding me with questions. So I really dove deep. I already knew in my heart and in my, like, I felt it that it was right for me. And I decided to really dive deep into the information to really learn like the information to back up what I already knew from my experience. And then it got to the point where from defending myself to people, I accumulated so much knowledge and I was just like, I could really teach people this shit. Like what I know can really change the world. And then I created my Instagram and I took a step back into like raw veganism and I started exploring nuts and, you know, stuff like that, herbs. And then throughout the page, you know, I was posting just stuff as I was learning. I was still always doing research, still learning to this day. So as I was learning, I was posting and the page just started to take off. And then I decided to do free coaching for nutrition and diet. And then I decided to do free coaching for breath work when I first started. And I did free coaching for about a year. And then from that free coaching, I gained a lot of experience. I help a lot of people with a lot of diseases. Like by the time I was done with that year, like I already had helped people with diseases like more than I can count on my fingers and toes that I've helped people completely reverse, like diseases like heart disease and diabetes and like all crazy shit. And then from that experience of just like diving in and being like, hey, like you want to work with me? I got some knowledge that might fucking change your life. Like if you want to work with me for free, let's do it. And then I got results that were way better than I ever expected. And then it got to the point after that, like once I had a lot under my belt, I was like, all right, I'm going to start charging. And then my prices were pretty low. Like it was like a couple hundred a month or something for like a couple months for the package. And then I started doing one-on-one guided breathwork sessions for money. And then while I was in Hawaii, I really decided to like, I designed a breathwork course. So I was teaching it right off my dome, the whole entire course. I was only charging $111. And I had one piece of paper from a notebook because I went out there without even a laptop, like nothing. I just had my phone. So basically, I just had a notebook and I wrote everything down and just like methods, topics, homework for every week. And I just had like a little chart on my thing. And then I would get on the phone with clients and just talk on the, like, just talk off the dome and just taught the whole course. And then when I got home from Hawaii in June, I really dove into creating the PDFs and really more structuring the course and having everything more prepared. And then I was teaching that in person still, but there was more structure to it. And then I raised my price from $111 to $540. And then I started really racking up clients. Once I raised my prices, I got a lot more clients. And then once that happened, I kind of felt overwhelmed. So I decided to raise my prices again to $999. And then I got even more clients. And I'm currently maxed out with clients with the breathwork course. So now what I'm transitioning to doing is making the course a video course. So when I get down to the Dominican Republic, I'm going to be making it a video course and it's going to be all automated. So as many people as possible can have access to the course without having to have me sucking all my time away. So I can spend more time on the clients that are just into I think the disease reversal is the most important aspect of what I teach and helping people, you know, save their lives is most important to me. So I'd rather dedicate my time to that, and anyone who just wants breath can just do the course. And then I'm coming out with a bunch of courses in the future too, like how to eat. So all everything that I share about nutrition, another one about how to fast, and then another one about avoiding toxic products called avoiding the poison, which is like how to make your own personal care products at home and how to, like what to avoid and why, tap water, deodorant, whatever, and why. So that's pretty much where I'm at now, business wise and experience wise. And now I've been Fruitarian for, I guess, like 3.5 years. And I just transitioned to liquids. Today is day 39 or 40, something like that.
Wow, that's really awesome, dude. Thanks for sharing all of that. Yeah, for me, I started the fruit diet about the same amount of time ago, a few years ago, 3 or 4 years, and I had the same thing, everybody coming at you like you're crazy because they're like holding on to like their addiction, they want to like
Exactly.
they want to bring you down to their level of density, it's pretty interesting and it's a challenge for people and it's really cool that you manage to help people do the same thing. Like when you help people, do you tell them straight away about a fruit diet? Do you like try to transition them even though you didn't transition, or you kind of just give them the option? Or
so mostly what I do with clients is like I would get them on fruit first for like a couple weeks, like to prepare. But really, like the best way to heal is just to go fast, like a solid food vacation, straight up. So like I usually have them on a week to 2 weeks, depending on like the level of damage. Like if they have like a serious amount of weight, be like. But fruit for a period of time to get them warmed up for the fast, because the fruit is basically like like wet fiber. That's basically the only reason you eat fruit is because it's water and fiber. So it cleans out the system, and once the system is more clean, think of it as like a mop. You're mopping like the top shit off, like the major fucking blockages are getting out. Then once you do that, the fast is a lot easier. So then I usually get them on a solid food vacation with green juices, herbal teas, made with distilled water, and then urine therapy if they're up for it, and then coconut water as if they're really struggling. Coconut water as like a cheat.
why do you say a cheat? What's so bad about coconut water?
It's just the sugar. Like same with
Right.
more like just so they can be in ketosis, like ideally. So
Right.
I start them off with the juice and more leeway with coconut water, and then as we learn further into that solid food vacation, we go towards more just herbal tea and urine.
Oh, that's really cool, man. Yeah, I heard you say in one of your videos one of the most important things for people like after a solid food vacation is how to reintroduce foods again. Because when I did one last year, and ever since, like my body just doesn't want food anymore. It's kind of like you just reprogram it, and for a while I was like trying to eat dates, to like get a fill, and then I realized. No, like all my body wants is like juicy fruits and liquids, and I think for me, like to suggest that to people, it's like you almost got to warn them that like, hey, when you finish this solid food vacation, your life's not going to be the same again.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, if you want to heal, you got to be willing to give up what made you sick, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Big part of it.
Food is a real addiction. Yeah.
Wait, what were you saying, my baby?
Oh, I said food is a real addiction. Like
Sure.
if I'm in a social situation now, it's like it's really weird because people don't realize that they're addicted to it. Like they don't really need much at all. For me, I'd rather just imagine the foods that I used to enjoy than actually experience my body having to like digest it and eliminate it or drink a bunch of liquids to get rid of it.
Yeah, it's like alchemy at that point, like if I was to tell you to close your eyes and picture the taste and texture of a slice of pizza and pretend to chew it. You can taste it and you can feel it because you've already experienced it and your brain is recreating it in that moment. So you can alchemize pretty much anything into anything. This is like the basic concept of breatharianism. It's biological transmutation. When you put yourself in that trance state, you close your eyes, you stop taking in external light. You're no longer blinded from your internal light, and you can use that to manipulate light into other things. So basically everything on the atomic scale is light. It's electromagnetic vibration. It's just electrons vibrating around protons and neutrons in different arrangements. So you have the ability to change those arrangements to whatever you want, apply the right intention, and you get into your breathing.
Yeah, it's so cool, man. Like, honestly, like, I've learned so much of the same things you have, but when I've been watching some of your YouTube videos, it's like so cool to see that you put it all together, man. It's really impressive, you know, like the exercise, the breath work, urine therapy, fasting, solid food vacations, all of it. And it's really cool because, like, for me, like, it feels so good, you know, to like walk around and feel like I'm floating, you know, like my body is just like becoming more and more lighter but stronger at the same time, you know, lighter in terms of like more light inside my body.
Uh-huh. And
But
strength and weight do
yeah.
not you don't need
Sorry?
strength and weight do not equate.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and you know, like it's just so interesting to like try and explain it to people that don't understand. Like, I'm curious, like some of the people that come to you, they must like at first they mustn't have had a clue like where you're going with the whole breatharianism, and then all of a sudden that you get them on a solid food vacation and they realize that's the path they're going on. Is that common?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. A lot of people. Yeah, most people who have gone through my program are completely different people afterwards, in a better way. Like where I have testimonials from people saying like, my everything about my life is better. Like I even view the universe and the world, like everything that I thought about life is not the same anymore.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
it's
because
on
yeah.
everything.
Sorry.
It changes
Everything.
absolutely everything.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, how long had you been on a fruitarian diet before you did a solid food vacation?
I was about a year in before I did my first one. I did my first green juice fast. Yeah, about a year, maybe even a little longer than a year. Because when I first did the Fruitarian wave, I didn't even know about fasting really yet. I just learned about fruit, and then I just, you know, did it, and then felt amazing, and just kept doing it. And then
Mhm.
learn about fasting until I really dove in, like later on, and then I had to work up like the mental toughness to just do it, because I feel like it's a different dynamic when like you're doing your own research and you don't know what to believe and you don't know like what's going on, like then to have like a coach actually push you to do it. So like if somebody
Mhm.
takes a program, it's more like, all right, let's get it, let's dive right in. For me, it was like I had no me accountable. I had nobody really making me do it. It was more like, you know, whenever I feel ready, I'm just gonna do it because like nobody else is doing anything. So that's
Mhm.
how it was for me. I feel like when I guide people through it and I tell them the schedule, like people are psyched up for it. Some people need more time on the fruit than others, but in my personal experience, I've had an easier time diving right in than to stay strict with fruit now beforehand. Because now, like, I have a newfound like love for the vegan food, like, you know, like nuts and stuff. Like it's harder for me to ease into it than it is for me to dive right in. Like if I just go into a fast within 3 days, it's like, all right, I'm not eating anymore. This is easy.
Mhm.
Those first 3, or like that first week, it's like I'm craving food, and the sugar from the fruit makes me crave other food, and it's just like I'm better off when I just go liquid anyway.
Wow, that's really cool, man. And you still like you're still doing calisthenics like every day, or yoga, or would you integrate exercise into your program as well?
Yeah, the program doesn't really do it more specifically because I feel like people can kind of do whatever workouts they want. I recommend body weight exercises and staying away from weights because you're just like ripping your muscles apart and you're just like making yourself a snot ball. But yeah, the calisthenics, I personally do gymnastics rings every day and I do box jumps. I have like a box jump set like outside my crib that I do that every single, and then I do like flips and shit. So like I have a membership. Instead of going to the gym, I go to this trampoline park and I just work on flips and stuff there. And I do that probably like 3 or 4 days a week because it's like 45 minutes from my house.
Oh, that's really cool, dude. Like,
Too
yeah,
every day.
yes. And you're doing breath work every day too. Is that part of your course as well? Or
Yeah,
separate?
most of the yeah, I don't get everything includes the breath work. So like whether you're doing like the disease reversal or the breath work course or any of the other courses, like you can't fast. Like I don't really think it's beneficial to even try to dive into a fast if you're not doing the breath work, because then you're just literally starving yourself. Like the breath work and the sunlight and the liquids replace the food as the source. I mean, either way, food isn't really nourishing you anyway, and your breath is what's keeping you alive anyway. But it's, if you don't know how to breathe properly, you're going to drive yourself insane on a fast. So like otherwise you'd have to consume like way more juice and way more stuff to be able to like feel like you're sustaining yourself. Whereas when you do the breath work, like you feel nourished and you feel full after a breath session without having to consume anything. And then you consume the liquids by choice for entertainment more than for lack and need and addiction.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the breath
Yeah.
number one
Mm-hmm.
thing out of everything.
And how many times a day do you recommend people do breath work?
I recommend at least an hour for anybody, like in general, like your average person, like half hour in the morning, half hour before bed, at least. Personally, I'm doing like 3 to 4 hours a day recently.
Oh wow.
Since I've been on liquid, I've been doing, I just like want to do it more. Like I'll find myself doing like a 2-hour session in the morning and a 2-hour session at night and squeezing in breaths whenever I can. Like if I got 10 minutes to spare, I'm just going to like, see how little breaths I can do in that 10 minutes. Be like, all right, I got 10 minutes. I'm going to go for 4 breaths or 5 breaths.
Wow, that's really cool, man. Yeah, I've been doing more breath work recently, and like it's super super energizing. Like you get into like a trance. It's like you just like get into this like dizziness and then when you get up from that, it's like you've been in another world for a while. It's like you really like bringing in like the ether into your body. And
Straight up, you're casting your rod into a pool of ether energy every time you do breath work. I like to use trance because you need trance, right? Breath work is a controlled meditation. Like meditation without breath work is like driving a car without wheels. So breath work is a controlled meditation, and through controlled meditation, you invoke trance, right? Now, you need trance in order to transform or transition. You need to transform nutrients or light into other arrangements of light, or to transition into a different lifestyle or a different diet, or to transmute energies. You need trance. It's the key for all of that, and people don't notice that the trance is the important part of all those things, and you can't do all those things without invoking trance through controlled meditation, breath work.
Yeah, it's so true.
That's why in the transition you have like these vegans going back to meat, and I mean, first of all, they're just eating starch and they're not really eating like whole foods in the first place when they go back to meat. But even some people that go fruitarian go back to eating meat, and that's like you're just consuming your breath. Like you just like your emotions started to come out, and then they got the best of you, and you're like, all right, I can't fucking do this anymore. I got to block the breath with this dense ass food.
Yeah, and that happened to me. I was like, when I first went on the fruit diet, I was living in Costa Rica. It was super easy, and eventually I got back to New Zealand, and it was summertime. It was fine, but then when it started getting cold, I didn't know about breath work at all. I was stressed out, I guess, about certain things, and the influences around me and the addiction I had to like going fishing and eating fish, came back, but pretty quickly I realized what it was doing to my body, it didn't take long. And then I did a bit more of a transition, I read Arnold Ehret's book, and I had salads a little bit more and stuff, and eventually, you don't want salads anymore pretty quickly when you remember what it's like to be just on fruit. And for me now, like then I started doing the Wim Hof method when in the winter time. When I was in the US, I would go swimming in like 50-degree ocean water every day and do the Wim Hof method. And that's when I realized, like, wow, yeah, you can do this in winter. And I started doing yoga, and that's when I really found out about breatharianism. Like I had heard about it, but it was like it kind of sounded a bit crazy, But
yeah, I mean, I thought it was insane. When I was in the fruit, I thought fruit was the answer. Like fruit is everything. Like it's the fix to all things. And then once I learned about the breath work, that changed everything. Especially once I started doing the breath work after I learned about it. And then after that, the urine therapy kind of changed everything again. So it's crazy stuff.
Where did you hear about the breath work first? Like what kind of breath work did you first start doing?
So I first started doing Tumo. I learned from Taylor Budd. I met up with him in person in AC, and he put me on big time. Like he taught me about the Tumo healing sounds, and the pranabandhas, applying the locks, and just like slowing down the breath, learning how to be gentle and silent and slow with it. That was like the first stuff that I did. And then from there, you know, everything else over time, the DMT breaths or to breath of fire, or like all different variations, 369 breathing that I learned from Devon, Black Airbender. Yeah, so I would say Taylor and Devon are my two biggest like mentors when it came to learning the breath work, but it all started with what Taylor taught me with the Tumo, and that's what I do still to this day, every single morning and every single night. The Tumo is really where it's at, the slow shit.
The Tumo?
Yep.
Yeah, I haven't done Tumo breath work, but I just found Taylor Budd's YouTube channel recently, and I've been doing some of the breath work that he does, like with the healing sounds, and I saw your 369 breath recently on your YouTube channel, and that's pretty fun. Yeah, I've been doing that too, and I also like incorporating the breath work into like stretches, like Arnold Ehret stretches, and some of the ones Master Earth talks about, and and just like, or even if I'm like driving, you know, just like hold my exhale as long as I can, and it's really fun. Like, it really is to like get, and when I'm like swimming in the ocean, I'll just like stay under as long as I can with my breath in or breath out, you know, and when you start to get like aware of like your capacity to hold air in or out, it's really weird. Like, it's like your life force, you know. You can only go so long without breath. I mean, you can go a really long time, but at first it's only so long. And like, it's a very interesting kind of experience.
Yeah, definitely. It's yeah, from where I'm at with it now compared to when I started, it's like a whole different game. Like, I feel like for people, when you first get started, like, you're gonna struggle. Like, it's gonna be difficult. You're gonna realize how sick you are, and all your emotions are gonna come out. And you know, another thing with the breath work and with the whole detox process, it's emotional as fuck. All physical weight was emotional weight first. It manifests as physical weight after you're already holding on to the emotional weight and you want to suppress it. You don't let the emotions go, so you hold on to them, and that manifests as, you know, physical weight, taking on foods to suppress those emotions so that you don't have to express them, and then that makes you gain the physical weight with the swelling. And the element of water is the element of emotion. So water weight is emotional weight, and most weight, like, people aren't fat, they're just holding water, they're swollen.
Yeah.
You release a lot of stored shit. A lot of tears are a necessary part of the healing process. You'll never heal from a disease without crying.
Yeah, it's very real, man. It is. Not many people say that, you know. They really don't.
Straight up.
Yeah.
I don't know why people think it's like a sign of weakness. It's like strength, like to be able to face your shit and fucking feel it. That's like, most people in society are too weak for that.
Oh yeah, it's really important. People do their shadow work, you know, like face it, understand it, and get through it, you know.
Exactly. How real growth happens. When you run away from shit, you're running away from your own growth.
Yeah, because you created the shadow too, you know.
Exactly. It's just the part of you to accept it as you.
Yeah, and it can fuel you, and yeah, it's like life really becomes a dance when you start to understand like the Tao, you know, like how there is this balance that you can just kind of flow with, and it starts with your breath, because you're breathing all the time, even if you're not literally exhaling or inhaling, you know, there's still breath work going on, you know.
Exactly. If you're conscious of your breathing, you're doing breath work. Just like focusing on what your breathing is like in any moment is breath work. You know, like if you catch yourself being flustered and stressed out and anxious, like noticing that you're breathing like you're getting chased by a bear is breath work. And you know, switching it up. Be like, all right, I'm gonna breathe slower. I'm gonna take a deeper breath and watch the anxiety fade. Or the opposite, you know, if you're whatever, holding your breath because you're scared or something, like, breathe. So whatever it is, being aware of your breathing pattern and how it affects the way you feel is breath work. And it's not like, you know, the exercises that we do, right? The breath work exercises, that is for training the unconscious breath. So like, the more that you do the breath work, the more that you're training yourself to breathe better when you're not doing the breath work.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And we do have someone commented here that if you could demonstrate a breathing technique, please.
Yeah.
You wanna-
Okay. Do like a basic one. All right. I'll do the 3 on my YouTube. So, and you guys can check out this video on the YouTube as well. Nick Caputo Breatharian on YouTube. It's called Guided Breathwork 369, something like that. So what you're going to do is you can do this for holding on the exhales or on the inhales. Now, the exhale holds are really where it's at. The space between the breath is the only time where there's nothing in you but you. That's like, you know, when people do ayahuasca and shit, they go to where you go, like on the exhale holds when you're really clean. But we're going to do, I'll show you guys this one with the inhale hold, because most people, especially when you're first getting started, like you'll have a lot easier time holding on the inhale than you will on the exhale. And especially if you can't suck in the Uddiyana Bandha, like, and really pull it in, like you're not going to be comfortable on the exhale holds at all. So we'll do this one. What you're going to do is you're going to do a 3-part inhale, 3-part exhale, 3-part inhale, and then out, in, hold, like this. And then the key to doing this is posture. Let me back a little bit. So the key is the posture. So you want to make sure that when you're holding on this inhale, that your shoulders are back, that you're at the edge of your, and that you're sitting on a hard surface, and that hard surface, like the edge, is right on your gooch, like right on the base of your spine, in between like your balls or your lady part and your asshole. And then what you're going to do when you hold, right, you're going to inhale, make sure your shoulders are back, chest is puffed out, chin is tilted down, tongue is suctioned to the roof of your mouth, like that, like you're going to go, but like before the click, press the roof of your mouth, and then your eyes are closed, looking up into your first eye. So I'll show you what that looks like. Again, 3 in, 3 out, 3 in, out, in, posture, and hold.
Mm-hmm.
So and then you'll go into the 6. So and posture and hold. And then repeat when you can't hold anymore. You might trip out really hard on these. Like, hold up, I'm gonna fucking. Yeah, these are really intense. So if you need to, you'll feel that feeling. And once you get the posture really right and you fully relax the stomach, I forgot to say that before, fully relax your stomach. So even though you're like making this posture, like you got to get used to not using the ab muscles. And in society, we're taught to always be like tight because like we want to look good and we're like always like tense. And letting go of that stomach and letting it fall out, as soon as you finally get your stomach relaxed, you'll feel it hit you like a ton of bricks. Like the DMT release is just going to hit and you're going to be like, oh shit. Like I got to like, if you saw me go like this and just kind of like exhale slow and just feel that, that's like super psychedelic. It's like a blast off moment. So you'll feel that especially on these inhale holds. And then, so you're going to do the 3s, the 6s, and then the 9s, and you can just repeat that as many times as you want. You might not trip super hard on the first one or the second one, but if you keep going with it, like it gets super fucking intense. Like to the point where like every round you're like waking up like, holy shit, like what just happened? I'm still in this chair. Fuck. Especially like the more empty you are, the more fasted you are, the more clean that you're eating, you'll experience that release more and more. So obviously if you're gunked up, like it's just more blockages of the flow of chi, the flow of light energy through your body. So the more you're open to that flow of energy, the more that there's no, nothing in between the bowels or like anywhere in the digestive tract or just mucus in general. You'll have a more like enjoyable flow of energy. I like to say that you are the way, and anytime that there's something in you, whether it be food or anything else, those things are in the way. So this is how you can do it on the exhale. So it's just the opposite. You start with the exhale. So 3 out, 3 in, 3 out, in, out. And then the posture is a little bit different on this one. You want to lean over at first and pull the diaphragm up and in. And then once you pull it up and in, then you want to pull back and have it like that. Then you can also, once you get more into it, you can do the, pushing out the ab column or just sucking it in and letting it go and repeating, or rolling for the nauli. So I'll try to show you all 3 or 4 of those variations in this one breath. So, and same thing, after you can't hold anymore, you take an inhale and you relax and hold for a little, and then go back into it the same way. So and then you would go back into the 6. And then 6 out, in, out. And that would be the exhale hold variation. The 3, like that. And there's like countless different variations of the 369. Like I could spend hours all the, and it's really fun to get into all the different variations and seeing like, what do I feel like doing today? Like some are more slow, some are more fast, some are more continuous, some there's a lot more holds. It's some incorporate movement, like there's one for running, for different sports, stuff like that. There's all different ones. So when I work with the athletes, usually the 369 is most of like the during sports type stuff, and getting, aligning the rhythm of the breath with the rhythm of the movement and doing all movements in rhythm.
Yeah, it's awesome, dude. Like that you're doing it every day and that you've been doing it. I can see, just the benefit that you're receiving from it. I am curious, like, what do you see, like, in the future now that you've created the courses, you're moving, like what do you want to achieve next? I mean, I know some people. I've heard stories, some of these guys that go food free up in the mountains and Ecuador or different places have learned to teleport and stuff. Like, what's your plans in the near future, man?
So for now, I'm kind of going all over the place. Dominican Republic, I'll probably do Miami. I want to go out to Southeast Asia at some point. But, travel plans aside, basically what my goal is to, everywhere I go, I'm going to create a new course. And then me and Devon are working on retreats and stuff like that. But I want to record all the courses, each one in a different location. And then once the courses are all out, I'll have that passive income. I can focus more on the retreats, which I think are going to be a lot of fun and be really cool for people to experience. And then, once I feel like I've done what I need to do and the courses are just still available, like I'm more of a tropics guy. Like I just want to pull up somewhere by the beach and surf and have coconut. That's like pretty much it. Just coconut water. That's it all day. Coconut water and waves. That's all I need.
Yeah, nice, man. That's what I've been doing here. I'm on Kauai, and yeah, the coconuts are awesome, and yeah, it's a cool life, man. It's fun, once you start to realize, like I see it, how the Tao works and how we're just in this electromagnetic sphere of nothingness. It seems like something, we can really. It's really just about having fun, and that's why I love sharing the health stuff with people, because as you get more healthy, your body gets lighter and you got more flexibility, more energy.
Yeah,
you can have more fun. Yeah.
Exactly. And like that's like the reason why we're out here. It's just an experience. You're just supposed to fuck around and see what's good with the world. And society kind of drags people away from that. And I'm trying to remind people of the fact that, they can do whatever they want and they have fun doing it. It doesn't have to be this like miserable existence like society paints the picture to be.
Exactly. Yeah. It's we're supposed to like be like kids. I watch kids and they are not concerned about food. I mean, most of them, they just want to play in the ocean or on the playground, and they create games and they're just having fun. Yeah.
or tell them, oh, it's time to eat. Come on, stop playing. It's time to eat. And then after they eat, they don't want to play as much, and they don't have as much fun. That's definitely how it was for me back in the day. And another thing that I was gonna say. Oh yeah, like if you're, grown up or mature, like society uses those words as if like not being childlike is like this like sought after goal, where like all that is just trauma. Like if you're not childlike, there are layers of trauma holding you back from being your inner child. And like the breathwork really brings those out. The detox really brings those traumas to helps you move past them so that you can really be like a child. But regularly in society, somebody can't just decide to be like a child again, because like they literally have these traumas stored in their body that are like a front, that are like protecting their traumatized inner child from like experiencing that trauma again. And you really have to like face that trauma, realize the root of it, fully experience it, fully process all of those experiences, really be able to go back to that inner child and experience things from an innocent perspective. And it's a process that can take years, decades. It's not what happens, you can't reverse 30 years of trauma in 2 weeks from a fast,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I used to make this, maybe I'll make it again, but it's like I would like blend up like herbs and vegetables and ferment it, and I would drink it like a smoothie, and it was really powerful, like stirring up stuff, in my colon, and I would get images, while I was drinking it. I was stirring up like this old stuff, just how like as a kid I was just like eating food like I was like a competitive thing to like keep up with my brothers. It was like very primitive, animalistic kind of thing, just because they were doing it, I was doing it. And at the same time, maybe it's interesting. I haven't heard about kids growing up without food, but of course it's possible if they do the breath work. But at the time, we didn't know better. But it's interesting when you start to like go through the process of like eliminating things, how these things they come up, and it's like most people wouldn't understand it, but it's very like you say, it's like emotional, it's like past, like memory stuff. It's like you got to clear your past lives to really get through everything that's been created emotionally and mentally and everything.
All of that energy imbalance, all of that karma. It's, karma is just like all the yangs have to yin, all the yins have to yang. So any unbalanced energy has to manifest, and you got to go through it and process it all and fully experience all of it and be present for it. If you were angry when you were 5 years old and you ate something, that is stored in you now forever until you get rid of it and until you fully process it and stay present for the memory of it. So think about how many times they do that their entire lives. Like for like a 50-year-old person who's trying to like cleanse and do this, like you got to go through 50 years worth of trauma, 50 years worth of shit that you suppressed. It's no easy task, and it's no joke. A lot of the older clients like really go fucking through it, and it's crazy to see them like before and after, like full body transformation, mental transformation, like emotional transformation. It's beautiful. And what you were saying about kids being breatharians, I would say like a lot of it has to do with the way that mothers prepare for pregnancy and prepare for childbirth and how they feed their kids like right off rip. It's like you should be fasting before you even think about getting pregnant. And the man should be, practicing tantra and semen retention for like months at least, like minimum months, but really ideally years of not spilling the seed before he's ready to actually impregnate a woman and knows what ancestors coming back and if is experiencing that in his dreams and is reproducing consciously. That being said, then after that, the mother shouldn't really be eating when she's pregnant, and if she is eating, it should really only be fruit or like raw stuff. Like eating bread while you're pregnant is no different than drinking alcohol while you're pregnant or smoking cigarettes. Like all fucked up. It's all fucking up the baby. And once childbirth should be painless. I mean, I did a podcast with Devon on this in our Alchemy and Grub podcast, painlessly giving birth to human babies. Yeah, and then once the child's born, they should be breastfed for like literally 5 years, like until the mother straight up can't breastfeed anymore, until she dries out. Like no more breast milk available. The kid should be breastfed, And then from there, it should really only be liquids. You can get them onto green juices, introduce them to coconut water, get them to drink their own urine at that point. And I mean, breath work basically is, I mean, not breath work, breast milk is basically urine. There's urea in breast milk, just like in urine. And the baby is basically made out of the mother's urine in the first place. So, you know, the whole body forms from amniotic fluid, which is urine. So the baby is already looping its urine when it's in the womb. Like you're looping your mother's urine for the first 5 months, and then from 5 to 9 months, you're looping the kids looping their own urine. So you're already doing urine therapy in the womb, and once you come out and you drink breast milk, it's basically the same shit. And then, you know, after you stop being breastfed, you can, you know, just have them dive into their own UT, or they could, you know, for mothers who have trouble breastfeeding, or if you have like, you know, like breast implants or something, like some kind of thing where it stops you from being able to breastfeed, give your child your urine instead of breast milk, and it's just as good.
Yeah, wow,
If
that's pretty cool. I learned a couple of things there. Yeah.
Then you can have breath. And if any of those things are not done, then you're gonna be feeding your kid, and he's gonna, you know, be suppressing, and he's gonna learn how to suppress just like the rest of society. I mean, if anything, like, you know, eventually they can get into fruit. Like by the time they're like 6 or 7 years old, like they can get into fruit, and that's cool. I would say that's probably as dense as I would ever, like if I ever had a kid, like that's as dense as I would feed them throughout their whole childhood is just fruit. My kids would never have nuts or like vegetables in their original form.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about is superhuman babies, you know, because that's what they would be. You know, I have this friend here on the island, and she's into UT, and she kind of helped me get seated on the island and everything, and she's got like a 9-month-old baby, and it is a superhuman baby, you know, like you look at this baby and it sees right through you, you know, it's incredible. And, you know, they let it like taste food, like fruit or something, but it just like kind of puts it in its mouth and spits it out. Like it's not interested,
Like
you know, like
I want it. Wow, that's
because they don't twist it. Yeah.
that is amazing. Absolutely beautiful. That alignment.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, and when like kids are treated like when they're given the opportunity to make their own choices, you know, that's what's really cool because they're beings just like you and me. You know, we decided to lighten up our diet, and they can decide it. They can decide to have a light diet from the get go. You know, but
Exactly, and it's
yeah.
right here at that point to stick with the light diet. Never experienced the diet, like. You're just experiencing emotions, and you're just fully present in the moment, and you allow everything to like come in and feel everything. Like as a kid, you never understand a world of running away from that because you see life as this beautiful process of just everything happening to you, and you're just like tripping the whole time, basically. Like mushrooms and psychedelics give you like a taste, like a sneak peek of what it's like to be a breatharian. Like you should feel like you're on mushrooms all the time. When you're a kid, you're a baby, especially if you're not being fed dense food as a baby, you're experiencing that 24/7. Like you're always tripping. And I mean, either way, you're tripping if you're seeing and hearing and experiencing this reality. Anyway, the whole thing is a fucking trip. But you know what I mean? Like you're way more hypersensitive as a kid. So if you feed your kid that, right, only breast milk and urine and coconut water, maybe once they get more into it, or green juice, like by the time 7, 8 years old, like you feed them the first time denser, heavier shit. One, they're gonna get sick, and they're gonna hate it, and two, their superpowers are gonna get turned off. They're gonna stop experiencing the world in such a magnificent way that they have been for their whole lives. And they're gonna be like, "What the fuck is this about? Like, fuck that."
Yeah, it's interesting, like how far gone, you know, what we're talking about is from what most people experience. You know, like for me, I watched your video you and Devon did about that, and I text my mother, and I was like, you know, how long was I breastfed for? And she said 6 months, and then they weaned me off with like, you know, like whatever, like liquid fruit stuff, and then, you know, heavier, denser stuff. And she said that I love food, you know. And of course I did, because I was like, I was craving breast milk, and it's like, well, you can't have that, you can only have this. And it's like, you know, I can how I went that way with, you know, without even being aware of what was really going on. You know, when you're so young, 6 months old is like nothing. But I would love to meet a kid, you know, that did what we're talking about, that got to have that experience, because there's not many people that really have the knowledge. Like I even heard there's that Fruitarian couple in Ecuador. I forget their names, but you know, she was like Fruitarian through the whole pregnancy of their 2 kids.
So
But
awesome.
they let their kids decide whatever they want to eat. Like they eat mostly fruit, because that's all their parents really have, is like some fruit or juice every now and then.
Yeah.
But the kids do get, like, sometimes they do decide to eat like ice cream or something funny, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they, like, the parents let them decide, you know, like they're their own beings, you know.
For
But
sure.
I'm sure the kids just like feel like, oh, that doesn't feel good, you know.
If they're clean, I would like if you keep your kids clean for like until they're the age where like they can be conscious of making a decision, then the decision is easy.
Uh-huh.
But like if you feed them drugs before they're aware like that, they're being
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why you said too. It's important that the mother fasts before she gets pregnant, because otherwise the kid is like born with that kind of addiction, just like with other drugs, you know.
like I was basically a pizza crack baby. My mom ate so much pizza when she was pregnant with me. And I mean, my mom has breast implants and I wasn't breastfed at all. Like I got baby formula and fucking bread and potatoes. Like it was
Uh,
and I didn't even know. I would have never known. And then it was weird that being given that as a baby, like there came a time in my life, like I was like 3 years old, my parents tell me that like one day I just stopped eating. Like where like as a baby I would eat all of it, and then there came like a time where I just stopped eating all of it, and I was just like, I don't fucking like any of this. And then from that point on, like from like 3 years old to like literally like 15 or 14 or 15 years old, like I didn't really want to eat anything at all. I ate like 2 things. It was literally just like waffles or like pasta. And if it wasn't things, like I wasn't eating shit. And then later, you know, I got more into other food and, you know, fell into the escapism addiction thing. I discovered weed at like 16, 17. And from that point on, like it made me like food. I was eating bigger portions. Like then I really got sucked into the food wave. And then, you know, with drinking alcohol, when you drink, you want to eat more so that the alcohol doesn't fucking kill you. And eventually, like, you know, I fell into that, whatever. And then it's crazy. Like, it's been like 2 cycles of eating like shit and getting put into the fucking eating from society or from my parents or from whoever. And then realizing, like, I don't fucking want this. So it happened when I was a baby. And then the whole cycle just repeated itself and just took a lot longer the second time,
mm-hmm.
which is interesting.
Yeah.
I thought of it from that perspective right now.
Yeah, and then the most interesting thing is when you really start to experience it, you know, like for me, like I said, I did the juice fast, but I was drinking like so much juice, man. I was following John Rose, you know, and he suggests people drink like 4 quarts of juice a day. And so I was doing that. But now that but then I discovered urine therapy after that. And now it's like, you know, when you do the breath work and you exercise a little bit or however much you want, like it really becomes easier and easier, and it's really just your mind. It's like how far do you want to go? Because for me, it's like hard to relate to people sometimes. You know, when you're like in this state, imagine it's like being on like ayahuasca. You know, as an example, when people are on the DMT, they lie down the whole time. You know, but for me, when I'm walking around, well, it's more like you know, it's just like you're walking around in this bliss. You know, and like in your body, you feel like you're floating. Your joints are hydrated, and you feel energized, and you
Yeah.
know, you take these
A lot of trauma they have to get out.
you know what I mean? I'm sure you're
For sure.
sorry.
I definitely had my fair share of psychedelic experiences from honestly, acid was my number one. And then I smoked a decent amount of DMT for a short period of time. I got my hands on some, and that was like, psychedelics really like helped me to remember who the fuck I was. Like when I was really into the alcohol and the drugs and whatever, like the weed, all of it. Like when I first got into psychedelics, like slowly, like it was like reminding me of like what I was meant for, and especially like DMT. Like I remember after that, like being like, this is different than anything I've ever done in my whole life.
And now you feel like you're getting closer to that state without it, you mean? Like, you know, with the breath work and
You're into it without more than I ever did with like externally smoking. Like my brain, like I am the drug for real. Like all of it. Like sometimes, like when I do the breath work, like I'll come out of a breath session, especially if I do it in the sauna. Like I'll do like a 25, like 2 session in the sauna, and I'll come out of that sauna and be walking out and looking at the walls, like straight up, like tripping, like seeing those patterns that you see, like straight up moving visual, everything, like no drugs, like only drinking coconut water and urine and just fucking doing breath work. And I literally feel like I ate the shrooms.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Like for me, sometimes when I do breath work, and especially when I incorporate it with some stretching, like I don't know if you've seen that Master of Earth video where he says like bend your knees, put your arms up, and just stretch and just like go way back with your belly completely, with your body completely full of air. And when I do that, like I'll just like go down like into a standing squat, and I'll just like everything's kind of just like going like this, like where you just kind of like you don't even know where you are, and then you start coming back into your body, and you're just like, and it's the first thing that comes to me is like, wow, people don't know that they can experience that, like people don't know just how close we are to like experiencing different dimensions of being out of our physical body, and like they're so identified with it, and they're so like attached to food. Like I notice when I'm around people, they're so quick to talk about like gardening or like eating their next meal or like their last meal or like all this stuff, and it's like I'm kind of just like, oh yeah, like like you want to do breath work.
I could definitely relate to that, bro. Literally. Which is a big part of like why I don't really associate too much with too many people from the health community or the health community. It's like I can't really relate to even people that are trying to be healthy, because it's just like they just are eating different shit. It's just different drugs, different emotional suppression. Like doing shrooms and shit. Like I have no interest anymore. And it's like a lot of people are into these plant medicines or into all like different like stuff like that. I'm just like not. I can't relate to that either anymore. And it's like I can get why people are doing it. It's not like I don't understand it. It's like the psychedelics are amazing. They help you remind yourself who the fuck you are and what the finish line of the healing process would look like. But a lot of people think that that's the finish line, and like, oh, as long as I do shrooms all the time, like I can still experience this. Like, nah, you could experience that all the time if you don't do the psychedelics. You got to get off it to realize that you are it.
Yeah, same with the food and stuff. Like it's really interesting, like I'm excited for more and more people to be on the path, like because at first it's like you're just kind of like hanging out with yourself a lot, and and it's interesting. Like for me, it's real nice to have a chat with you and like see that you've done the work, and it's like validates what I'm doing with myself here in an isolated environment somewhat, and it's real cool, man. I appreciate everything you share. It's real awesome, and that you're helping other people achieve it. It's really cool, man. I was like listening to your YouTube channel the other day, one of your newer videos where you're spelling out like the different elements and stuff, and I've heard Tal Lord do it in like a similar way, but you really nailed it, man. And I was just like blown away. I was like, man, this guy's younger than me, and he's done it all, and he's like there, and he's coaching people to do it. And I was just like, I was super impressed and like super like humbled that like, wow, these people are like coming through on this planet, and we're gonna like you're showing the way, and you're teaching people, and you're doing it, you're walking the talk, and man, it's awesome. Thank you. Yeah.
I appreciate you, bro. Appreciate your appreciation of my work for sure. It's beautiful process. I'm just trying to bring the message to everyone who seeks it. It's more of a attracting thing, chasing thing now. So like when I first started, it was more like I wanted to tell everybody and like make everybody heal. And it's like not everybody's ready. So it's more like, I share the information for whoever wants to see it. Anybody who wants to learn what I have to share, I'm an open book if you want to read. But I ain't shoving the book down your face. And there's no spark note.
Oh, that's really cool, man. Yeah, yeah, I'm super grateful for your time and what you shared and your everything, man. So, and then anything else you want to wrap it up with? I put a link in the description here to like one of your websites that has all your links and everything. But
Okay, word.
if you want to say anything else, go ahead, dude.
Yeah. I think we're good. I mean, you are everything, you need nothing. That's it.
Mhm.
So appreciate
Well,
you.
yeah. Well,
There.
yeah, it was real cool. Thanks for your time, Nick, and just keep doing what you're doing and stick with the Dow and have fun, man. So thank you, and we'll talk soon, man. I'm sure. Yeah.
I appreciate you. Peace.
Cheers, man.